Here we are at Thursday already, ladies. What an amazingly quick, speedy week it has been. I've spent the first part of the week just sort of getting back into the rhythm of things and trying not to give myself too hard a time about not getting into sort of the full throttle mode already. I don't know if you guys feel a little bit like that, like it's the new year and you really want to kind of have a new woohoo about you, but actually the reality is that your woohoo has gone, oh, must I? So getting into it again this week, if you've got children, getting them back to school and sorted. Hopefully this weekend coming, you've got some time booked to do something nice or a bit of self-care and what have you. And you can slowly sort of start to ramp things up as the week goes on next week until you kind of feel like you're back in some form of normality. So as difficult as it was for me to kind of do the whole getting up at the crack of sparrows to get my son up into school. I mean, he's 15, he could do it himself, but I just feel like it would be so mean of me to go, I don't need to get up yet. So I'm not going to get up myself either. So yeah, that would just feel a little bit mean. So I do get up when he gets up and just sort of potter around whilst I'm waiting for him to get ready. Anyway, I hope that your new year is being a bit of a time of reflection and preparation for you, really, instead of you being hard on yourself. What I wanted to talk to you about today is about what happens with my self-esteem when I am with toxic people. So just thought haven't spoken for a while about sort of elements of my story and thought it was high time that I shared something with you, particularly as there are so many newbies here who don't necessarily know what's going on with me. So I don't pick this form of coaching. I don't pick healing her toxic past as my sort of story to help women through because I fancied it or because I thought I'd be good at it. I picked it because it's my story. So my story started not in my early childhood. When I was in my early childhood, I was an only child. I still am. Things were really great. Me and my parents were kind of like a little team and what have you. Things started getting harder for me when I was about 9 and we moved down to Sussex from Derbyshire. And things deteriorated rapidly sort of between 9 and 13 with my parents. And then it was a long time before we had a decent relationship again for many reasons, which I'll cover in other things that we're doing. But I went from being quite a confident, self-assured little girl to being somebody who was very unsure because essentially my teammates had let me down. My teammates weren't there for me. They weren't supporting me through some really key difficult times for me. And of course, when I was that age, I would be asking myself, well, why has this changed? Why don't my parents love me as much as they used to? What did I do? What was the issue with me? And because one of the main issues that I had with my parents was an inability to talk to them, and because I was at school in like the early 90s, there wasn't really anybody to pick that up with me. There wasn't anybody for me to speak to. My mum had been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis and I had no real knowledge about it or didn't have anybody to speak to about it really. So I was quite a lost and confused young person really, trying to get to grips with what the hell was going on in my life. And it was really difficult, really hard for me. But the problem was that started my programming. So then most of my years going after that was like, I'm not good enough. I'm not enough. I need to give significant amounts. My self-esteem was absolutely rock bottom, which essentially was a bit laughable really, because I went into training for musical theatre, but musical theatre for me wasn't about Sarah being on stage. It was about a character being on stage. It was about a confident dancer being on stage. It was about an actress being on stage and being that character. So Sarah kind of got to hide. So maybe in hindsight, it wasn't such a mad thing to do. So self-esteem, if your story starts in a similar way to mine, where actually you didn't get self-esteem boosted, you didn't get support, you didn't get understanding, you didn't have the ability to talk to somebody, your parents or somebody else, then it is quite likely that has kind of had a play in your adult life and perhaps still does now. My self-esteem now, my self-confidence is much better. Is it like that all the time? No. Do I have bad days? Yes. Do I have days where I'd just quite like to hide? Yes, absolutely. I continue doing the work, but yes, there are days, and I talked in the training that I've done recently about those days, about how on those days we need to give ourselves a pass, we need to give ourselves the self-care, we need to give ourselves the compassion to say, it's okay. It's okay to have these bad days. What can you learn from it? How can you benefit from it? Even if the benefit is sometimes just that you got to binge watch something amazing on Netflix or something crappy on Netflix. Sometimes just sitting down and giving ourselves that pass to do that is just so vitally, vitally important. So that's where my story started. It started in childhood, and then it went on. It went on into every relationship where I would always blame myself if it went wrong. I would always say it was something that I did. A boyfriend said to me once that he was reliant on alcohol, and he said to me, "You make me like this. You make me. I'm not like this normally. You've made me like it." And really, that's just him getting rid of his own ownership and responsibility for the issue. It wasn't really down to me, but I was young and I didn't really understand and I didn't get it, and I was still feeling my way in relationships. So it was very much, what if he's right? What if he is right? And now any toxic person who comes into my pathway, I can immediately fall into that trap of thinking, what if it's me? Now I can use the tools to get myself back out of it. But if I'm still around people who I can find difficult sometimes, my self-esteem does go down. Like I was thinking the other day, well, yesterday actually, I went to Slimming World and I've managed to put on about half a stone over Christmas. My immediate thought was, I'm going to have to preempt that with my mum before she makes a comment I don't like. And I was thinking, I'm 43. You know, if she says something, which God bless her, she's likely to, I'm just going to say to her, Mum, stop. It was Christmas. It was fine. I'm back on plan again. I'm going to get it off. And actually, it's not really any of your business. So stop. And we have had a conversation recently about the lack of filter that she can have sometimes, because sometimes you just have to put those boundaries in place where you can. And yes, I get that that's not always possible, but have a look at your life now. Have a look and see, are there a set of people, or, are there people in your life who, as soon as you are near them, as soon as you are speaking to them, as soon as you are face to face with them, you're waiting for something to be said that's going to upset you? Is there somebody in your life who's actually quite toxic to you and makes you feel like shit, really? Because if you're surrounded by those people, they might not even be saying anything to you, but your internal dialogue will be. Your internal dialogue will be going, they're thinking this, they're thinking that. They haven't said anything, but they're thinking it. And if you are around people like that, then you need to limit how much time you are around those people, because you do not need that in your life. And if you don't have to have them there, don't have them there. If you do have to have them there, have some boundaries around it. So if this is resonating with you, if you had difficult upbringing in terms of self-esteem that has then copied into your adult life, this program that I've opened, This Is Me one-to-one coaching program, is going to be perfect for you. We will talk together. We will talk about what's happened to set this story up. We will talk about how it feels now. We will talk about how to release some of the past stuff that's happened. We will talk about practices you can put in place to increase your self-esteem. You won't be at a destination at the end of 5 weeks, but you'll be set up and you'll have the tools to be able to do that. So please do come and join me. Please do come and join me and have that support from me to help move you forward. Because at the moment, like, self-esteem just blocks everything. If you've got low self-esteem, everything seems much harder. So anything that you want to strive for just seems like, oh, no, it's going to be too much hard work, or I'm not worthy of it, or I'm scared. All of these scarcity feelings kind of come into play. But as soon as your self-esteem is improved, and I don't mean self-esteem by going around going, aren't I great, aren't I amazing, aren't I wonderful, because that is taking it past that and going into the icky side. The confidence we're talking about is this quiet internal confidence about decision making, about who you are, all of those elements. So come and join me. I've got a link up. Click on the link. It's got more information in there. Book a call. We'll just have a chat. And if we think it's the right fit for you, fantastic. But if it isn't, that's absolutely fine. There is no pressure. I'm not a salesy person. Every time I come on and talk about something that, I'm doing, a program that I'm doing, there is an element of me going, oh, selling, yuck. But I've got my head around the fact that it gives so much value that this bit's okay, that it gives so much value to the women that I work with, that actually talking about it to you guys and saying, come on, come and join me. This isn't about me going, come on, spend your money. It's very much about me going, I know I can get results for you. I know that I can get to a stage where you don't feel like you've got to crap yourself every time you see your mum because of what she might say. Yes, you might be sort of on the lookout for it, but it's a different feel. But also just having that confidence to go, do you know what? I deserve to do X, Y, and Z. I deserve to think about myself first. I deserve to book a treat for myself. You know, and actually, the more deserving you feel about yourself, the more people stop and take notice. The more people are going, oh, okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, she is actually pretty amazing. And it has this knock-on effect. So do it, book the call. What have you got to lose? You may gain something amazing out of it. So do get on a call with me. Let's have a chat. Let's get things started for you. Lots of love to you. I'm going to be doing an extra one tomorrow as well. I will speak to you then. Take care.